go ahead and call this meeting to order. But first, before I ask for public comment, I'd like to just discuss a couple of items here. First, when we ask for public comment, I'd like for you to come up, state your name, address, and if all possible, hold it to 3 minutes, and just be respectful to everyone else. And on these proposals, this was a committee, proposal, so it wasn't a full board proposal on all this stuff. So saying that, before public comment, I'd like to ask Superintendent Gary Collinsworth if he'd just like to come up and just give a brief overview of the proposals, so everybody will have a clear understanding.
Go through all items?
Yeah, if you,
To the audience or to you?
to everybody, just, yeah, we pretty much already know what they are. I just want to make sure everybody and I want to make sure everybody in here is clear on what we're here for.
Yeah. All right, like he said, we met as a committee, and what we looked at was the cost that the county is kind of burdened with on the solid waste. So what we were trying to look at was actually how we could cut the cost of the illegal dumping at the sites, and when the site workers leave, that's when we get, the fence-in sites, that's when we actually get a lot of stuff illegal dumped in, and they're not there that many hours, so that's kind of the reason why we were looking at this. And then the open sites is our other biggest concern, where we have, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have out of state, out of county, we have stuff dumped, we have tires dumped, we have road ties, we have hazardous stuff dumped. So we have no control on those sites, and that's where the cost is kind of coming into the county, and that's the tax dollars having to cover this when we pick it up, because we have to pay to get rid of this stuff. Either shipping the tires off, pay to get rid of them. The other items that we're paying, I mean, that's just direct cost to the county. So the items that the Solid Waste Committee was looking at, which was reducing the solid waste community center hours during the months of November through March, and that's because site workers are there, after hours, late at night, when they're trying to come in, clean up, and it's hard to see, and if they get hurt, they're out there, and some of the places there's no phone signals, there's no way, that they can get, any help if something was to happen. And some of these site workers, you can ask some of them, they get threatened because people tell them, site workers tell them, well, you can't dump that, and I'll dump what I want to, and you ain't gonna stop me, stuff like that. So, we've got to look out for the workers' safety as well. So that's why we were looking at reducing the hours, from those months during basically through the winter hours. We were also looking at closing solid waste convenience centers on Sundays, and this is typically the site workers. They come in of a morning, the fence sites, they open them. A lot of them do go to church, so they're in, they clean up, they're back out, and that's usually when the prowlers come in. They scavenge through. While they're gone, the site's clean when they leave, and when they come back, it looks like a bomb went off. And then they're having to clean all that they've already cleaned up once. They already have to clean it up again. So that's the reason for Sundays. And when we were looking at that, I actually looked at Wise County, Scott County, Dixon County, Russell County, Tazewell County, Buchanan County, Washington County, all the neighboring counties. How do they handle everything that we handle? What do they do with it? Well, we were looking at, we based it on population stuff too, all the information we took in. Like Washington County, they had 58,000 some people population. They closed their sites on Wednesdays and Sundays, and they handle it. And their sites, when they are open, they're only open 40 hours a week. And if they can handle 58,000 population, you know, we could handle closing on Sunday. It's just people getting used to it, and you don't go, I mean, you don't get up and go to the grocery store when it's closed. You don't go to the post office when it's closed. So it's just a little bit of training in your mind saying, okay, the sites are closed. I got to go Monday through Friday or Saturday, you know. So that's kind of the way we looked at that in comparison, you know, trying to cut the cost. The third item, closed solid waste transfer station on Saturday except for second Saturday of each month. And the transfer station would open every Saturday in the months of April and October. Like so far this month, you know, we've not had any garbage at all come across the scales on Saturday. A lot of the months it's, you know, maybe for the whole month it's maybe 3.5, 4 ton at the very most. And that's if you get a contractor or something that, and most of the time they ask if they can even come in on Saturday. And also, the reason we looked at the months of April and October, you got spring cleanup, so people were doing a little bit more. So we wanted to not have an option to bring it in, but you know, during the spring cleanup time where more people will be doing more work, we thought, well, we'll give them more days per month, you know, through the month to be able to bring it in. So, and in October, a lot of people do things, you know, cleanups and stuff prior to winter, you know. So October was a heavy, you know, kind of a heavy month on our reports over the last couple of years. So that's how we come to that. The eliminate the entire recycling program. Since we dropped plastic from the list of recycled items, paper and cardboard collections have decreased by over 60%, and prices continue to be very weak, and the program is no longer feasible to continue. In the recycle program, back January last year, we got word that our contractor, which was Tri-City Waste Paper, was going to be shutting their doors. And during that time, they used to bring us 40-foot box trailers. They just backed it in the dock. We picked the recycle items up. We brought them in off the truck, set them on the dock, rolled them right into the trailers, loose. We didn't have to, no manpower into, you know, bailing them and all that. So once we did that, you know, we didn't just give up as a county saying, all right, here's a hurdle, let's be done with it. You know, just get rid of the recycle program. We didn't do that. I checked around with several different places and got information, and we tried the recycle and bailing it. We used a building that the county owned, so there wasn't very much money involved in that. We did have to buy a baler, but that was the only way that anyone would take it. So we looked at that. We did start bailing it, but we found out that since that period of time, bottle is the biggest volume of stuff that people recycle. So unfortunately, when they quit recycling bottles, they just kind of slacked off on the other items. So the volume has come down. And then in February, which I wasn't really prepared for this, but in February, the numbers were maybe $80 a ton or something to that effect. By the time we got the baler and we got first load of stuff that we took off, it was down in the 60s. And then it's dropped off now into, I think, $42 a ton now for the recycled materials. So, you know, we tried. We made the effort to try to make it work, and it's gotten so costly. The markets have dropped, so that's why we've looked at dropping it. It's not because we just wanted to do away with it and get rid of it. We tried other options, and that's kind of where we was at with that. And then the last item is close Hurricane Bridge and Hunter's Gap on Middle Wallens Creek intersection roadside collection sites as both unfenced and safety hazard for trucks to empty the dumpsters. Illegal dumping of items takes place at both sites. And as an alternative, enlist the help of the community to find a location to consolidate these two sites into one that could be fenced. We've had all kinds of stuff dumped. We've had dumpsters at Hurricane Bridge. We've had them pushed into the river. We had to get a boat to get down and hook chains to it. We've had to cable it out. Just 3 weeks ago, somebody tried to push 3 more over, set one on fire. And it's a constant battle. We get calls from, DEQ. They'll say, they got a call. Well, DEQ doesn't regulate the sites, but because of the river, they do have an issue with the river. So that was the situation there. And also with Hurricane Bridge and Hunter's Gap, when you're sitting there dumping the cans, you're sitting in the road as well. So that's a safety hazard for the people driving, the workers working. It's just a battle every day. We've had, just the other day, we had a boat dumped down there, a 20-foot boat dumped at Hurricane Bridge, right beside the dumpsters. No, it didn't have a track. So, there's a lot of cost, and that's taxpaying money basically going down the drain. So, sorry, that's all I got. I wasn't really expecting that, but sorry.
Thank you, Gary. Any of the board members wish to add to Gary's comments?
Well, one thing, when people set these dumpsters on fire, once that material in there is burned down, that dumpster is basically shot. And what's the cost on those, Gary?
About 900.
Yeah, and at these unmanned sites, it's a constant thing that people do,
Also, you got fire department spending money
Right.
to put them out too.
Yeah, and you can talk to the Jonesville Fire Department, they don't want those dumpsters down there either because they're called out all the time to go down there. That's all I got to say.
Okay, with that being said, we are now open to public comment on proposed changes to solid waste and recycling collection. And again, if anybody.
I don't, no,
If
I've
anybody
done
wasn't in here when at the beginning, I apologize.
3 minutes and your location, your name, right.
Well,
I have a thank you.
Just let me get finished first.
Oh, yeah.
We'll state your name, address, and let's hold it to 3 minutes, cause it's, I'm sure there's several people in here and everybody wants to say something, so let's hold it to that and not me having conversation back and forth. So we don't wanna interrupt it. We want everybody that comes up here to be heard and to be heard clearly. You may go.
David Thompson at 166 Kaler Road in the county, Lee County, state of Ewing, city of Ewing. Everything I read on here, I have to give you an A plus. I'd like to make a comment. I think that gentleman over there, Mr. Poe, done an incredible job. I don't mean to shock you, but I have good comments to make. I don't want to shock you. You're sitting there like, are you for real? I'm not medicated. I'm through with medications. Anyway, I think the board here is incredible. The extra and the report the way is and the recycle that I'm at, which is in the hardware store not too far from Thomas Walker. You guys do an incredible job. You put a new metal type retention thing just for furniture, and it works. It's incredible. It has paid back immediately. People now don't have any reason to go there and take brush and a lot of metal stuff. So you have beat that out. All of this I totally agree with. I only have one comment, is that it was brought to me by Montgomery Stores. I don't know if you know where that is, Pastor Will. Do you know where the Montgomery? No, you don't. Ellen, you know where it is? Okay.
I spoke with him today.
They were cleaning up yesterday the roadway 58, new 58. I have nothing but good comments, so please don't sit there like, I'm not going to give you anything to worry about. Everybody knows me. Anyway, he said the reason they're cleaning the road, they're cleaning, and the Gibson Baptist Church, is because something has happened as far as pickup. We have not seen people for some time. These are prisoners that are being supposedly done by. Has that been discontinued? That's the only thing has that been discontinued? Because we have not seen anything for a long, long time.
No, and I guess I could probably, I can say no, it's not been discontinued, but I'd like for Mr. Poe to go ahead and comment, because he knows more of the details about why they've been held up, you know. if
And when I
they-
would apologize, I'm not in any way.
There's been a little hitch in the program. That is a contract worked out between VDOT
Right.
and the sheriff, or the sheriff's office, and they
Right.
do that throughout the Commonwealth.
Come on.
Some of their funding has decreased some, but also there's been an issue. Typically, they use off-duty officers
Right.
to supervise the inmates when they do that. And there's not been that many off-duty officers volunteering to do the
Right.
work. It's on a voluntary basis. They have started back. They've been having problems. They pushed to try to get something going on that.
Right.
And I think for the last 2 weeks, they've had crews out. They did
Correct,
have another
yeah.
crew out today. Now, unfortunately for you, in District 1, they started at the Wise County line above Dryden, and they're
Right,
working their
right.
way back. They were in the Dryden area today, and they're continuing to move this way. So it's bad all over the county. But it's typical this time of year, as the grass is beat down.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
seems like the litter that's on the side of the road just sort of rises to the top. But it does seem to be a little bit worse this year than what we normally see. But they are working on that, trying to get that moving.
And I totally think, and I think
wanna
most
make
agree.
I would like to make one comment.
Go ahead.
You know, you're exactly right. We're not used to getting positive feedback from most anything, so.
Well, let me tell you.
I was a little shocked at that, you know, like deer in headlights, you know what I'm saying? So, but I'm not surprised, you know, after 4 years on.
I want to tell you, and I wish more people, because I like to leave a note at the recycle where I'm at, what you guys have to go through, and I think your hours are excellent, the new hours. Thank you, Mr. Carr. I think your Pennington Gap is really a very, very nice. And Mr. Mosley has, I think, I'd like to submit a letter, because I think you guys are going far more. You're not getting paid for all these terrible hours, and also David Thompson, 160 scale. I think you guys are awesome.
Yes. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening. John Cheek, I live at Dot, District 3, down by Virginia Log Homes up on the ridge. Mostly I use the Woodway and the Stickleville Convenience Center. So that's basically all I'm kind of talking about. It's my assumption that convenience centers were so named because they offer convenience to the people using them, not necessarily convenience to the people closing the gates. You know, with reduced hours during the winter, I understand it's dark, but people still get off work the same time throughout the year. I thought the centers were already closed on Sunday. That was news to me. But the biggest thing, the safety issues he was talking about. Really, I can't figure a risk that would exist at 8 o'clock that would be mitigated at 6 o'clock with no other, you know, procedures in place. You know, so I don't know what 8 versus 6 would do to mitigate the problem that existed at 8 o'clock. So, just seems to me, if you look at the Saturday, the weekend, the Saturday I think would be sufficient for the convenience centers. As far as the transfer station, I'm sure you got the data that says what days are the least used. You know, that would be available to cut off. And the recycling, I think a lot of people are on board with recycling these days, but it all boils down to money. That's what it is. If nobody buys it, what are you gonna do with it? So if the cost of the recycling is not offset by the increased cost of waste disposal, which I would say that would be a cost since there's no recycling, you know, we should just do away with the whole thing as suggested. So that's my views on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name's Charlie Carter, from the Flatwoods area. I primarily use the Flatwoods Convenience Center and the one on Sugar Run. I appreciate the fact that some of those are open on Sundays. For those, my wife and I both work. I'm retired Navy, moved back to the area 15, 16 years ago. You know, most people grew up here in Lee County can remember the days when the people dumped over the bank, found a holler and threw their stuff in the river. When I was growing up here, I can remember the river being really nasty. I think we've done a great job cleaning that up, and I hate to see people dumping things, you know, even dumpsters down in the river. It's ridiculous to see that. So I really like the idea of fencing them in and trying to control that. But I think closing them on Sunday is gonna just take people that, the illegal dumpers that are happening on Sunday, are they just gonna throw it out somewhere? And I just soon see our county be cleaned up and keep it clean. So I hate to take that, as he said before, the gentleman before, about the convenience for the people. Let's have the convenience out there. It may cost, but I'd like to see my tax dollars go to help keep our county clean. We're spending a lot of money on conservation, on the river cleanup. We're spending a huge amount of state funds come into the county for that. I'd like to see, you know, if my county funds have to be used for something, that's a good thing for them to be used on. As for one other one, the item 4, the recycling program, I hate to see the cardboard with the advent of Amazon and all the cardboard shipping boxes that are coming into our county now. I mean, it's unreal. And like I said, surely we can figure out a way to make that work. I know the plastics are tough and all that, but the bulk that's coming in our county, surely the money could be found to keep that program alive. Maybe it'll come back up in the future. I don't know. I'd like to see that continued if possible. Like I say, and I do appreciate, I want to make one comment. The fellows that work over at the convenience centers, I appreciate all the work they do to keep it cleaned up. They really do a good job. I know Jack used to work over at Flatwoods. Hate to not see him over there anymore, but they do a good job cleaning up, and we appreciate it. So, thank you.
My name is Amanda Herb. We are at 438 Bethel Trail.
Excuse me, what's your name?
Amanda Herb, 438 Bethel Trail. We live on the Hurricane Road there. The Hurricane Bridge Road would be a shame for us because it makes it, we don't go any other way. So it just makes it very hard for us to dump it some other place. It's more of it's just a hardship more to do that. We understand there's a lot of problems with that one. We do understand that. My husband did some kind of a drawing type thing to see if they could do something. We talked to Mr. Cobb, but it's kind of to maybe fence it off behind it so that they can't push the dumpsters, and then bridge off where the gate is there, not the gate, but the guardrail. So they can't throw the big items, and they can't do some of the other stuff. But it would be a real hardship for us if they closed off that. And if they put cameras there facing those dumpsters, and they have live cameras where you can actually see. So if somebody did something to the cameras, my husband said you could see that because it would be live. You pay $10 a month for it. It's not real expensive. And but that's just something that we asked and we're wondering about. But it might solve some of the problems he was thinking. But if we can ticket these people that are doing the things and that are doing the things they shouldn't be, then you get money for the county, and you also get the offenders in the first place that are doing the damage. And we appreciate Kathy and Jack. They're just a blessing. We appreciate you all, and thank you for taking the time and listening. Thank you.
Keith Warren, I live on Sugar Run Road in Jonesville. As far as item 1, reducing the hours, cutting them back from 8 o'clock, actually, I mean, that's sort of the times that I work, it's from 7 to 6. So you're gonna close them, before I can get back to do my trash. I disagree with that. And as for the convenience on Sunday as well, I like the convenience of the Sunday. That's what they are, they're convenience centers. And as Mr. Carter alluded to, I can't think of anything else that our money could be going for any better. As far as number 4, to eliminate something that we've already started, that we've already bought a baler for, I don't see the sense in that. I think, and if it's cardboard and glass, if that's what we need to pursue, I think that's what you need to pursue instead of throwing it out the window. It just seems like a waste for what you've done up until now, just to do away with it. If you can get $42 a ton, that's $42 a ton that you're not gonna have if you eliminate it. And as far as closing the Hurricane Bridge and Hunter's Gap, I don't see how you can close a convenience center without opening another one first. I mean, if that's the answer, to close it, to eliminate some of the problems, that's fine, but don't take the convenience away from the people just because it's inconvenient for the people that are working with it. You have to provide that convenience somewhere else or upgrade what you have before you just eliminate it and take it away from somebody. But thank you for listening.
Don't everybody come up at once now.
Good evening. My name's Shannon Taylor. I live in the Olinger Seminary area of Lee County, and I wasn't able to attend last week's monthly board of supervisors meeting. But this, what I want to talk about, is not necessarily on the agenda, but it relates to it. It's come to my attention that the county's proposed a new site for the, I think, Olinger Seminary open site. Really all I want to do is ask that be placed on the agenda for the February meeting so that I can have the opportunity to express my concerns and maybe ask some questions as to what the county's plans and things are moving forward. Outside of that, thank you for your time and looking forward to talking to each of you.
I think we can go ahead and we can take a couple questions on that.
Okay. I mean, I'm just like, you know, the gentleman there, I'm not exactly prepared to give you everything. My concern for me is it's going to affect my property to put in a site right beside of me, and I'm sure anyone in this room would probably agree with me that if you was going to put in a convenience center beside your home that's 300 feet away, that would be concerning. And for me, that's the first thing. And you mentioned, you know, you alluded to concern of your employees, burning of the dumpsters. How would you like that if it was 300 feet from your home? That's what's going to be in my backyard. Okay? I've actually worked with Poe, Mr. Poe. I'm in the process of trying to find another location. I've got a really good lead. It will be with who I work for, which is VDOT. And I hope that I can get things moving forward to help you guys. I'm not against helping the community. I think, you know, we do need to do more of that, okay? That's just a few things that I can think of off the top of my head. You know, I don't want to speak for Mr. Hubbard. He's my neighbor. You know, I know this is going to affect his property, and I get it. You know, nobody wants one of these things sitting in their backyard or close to their homes, and I get the reality of that. okay? Now, you know, I do have some concerns from a moral side of things. We have no problem with people coming onto private property to solicit votes, okay? You come in, and nobody has a problem with that. And I understand that this was proposed, it was put in the paper. I don't get the paper. I'm surprised that we still use the paper as a source of notifying the citizens when we have all the technology in the world, you know, to notify people. But my point is, I had plenty of people from the county come on my property to ask for my vote. It's my understanding that Mr. Poe came and took pictures of the site. You know, knew that I was going to be the only one affected. I mean, how hard would it have been to come to me or send me a letter to say, you know, this could affect you. And so maybe I could come and do what I'm doing now, which I'm having to play catch up. That's pretty unmoral in my book, you know. But that's up for you to decide what's morally wrong, you know. But that's my concern. We have a well at my home. That's what we use for water. I have county water that's close, but I can't get it, you know, and I won't even get into that, okay? It's concerning. That's my number one concern, is the health of my wife, my son, and myself, okay? And I just wish that, you know, you guys would take that into consideration, and maybe some other things. Like I said, I'm not beneath trying to do what's right and help the community. I just hate for it to be hit the burden of me, you know, or my family. But again, I'd like to add that to the agenda next time. I'll be a little more prepared to have maybe an option for you. Hopefully a good option that won't cost you $11,000 for 3/4 of an acre. Okay?
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We need more people to step forward in these times of need to help out, you know, find locations, because it's very difficult to go out and find a location. And I'm not sure, and I'll comment on this a little, just real briefly, but on these other sites like Hurricane Bridge and Hunter's Gap, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm not real familiar with those areas. I know where they're at, but how far is it from either one of those sites to the nearest gated facility? Gary, you or Dane, either one
I
know
don't
right off
have
the
the
top of
sheet
your
with
head?
me, so I can't comment on it. I'd just have to give a ballpark number.
I'll just pass these out. There's information on the ones that connect in each one.
Well, I mean, do you have something on top of your head? You're there, you know, on a daily basis, I'm not, so.
There's other stuff in there I was gonna hand out anyway, so we're gonna not really hand out yet.
What's it talking about, hurricane?
Well, some of these sites, like I say, I can look at this all day, and if I'm not real familiar with it, it's not gonna help me any at all. But I think just based on, just, I guess maybe guesswork, you guys may know, or you guys may know, but isn't it somewhere around 6 miles from that proposed site to the dried site? Okay. 7 miles. I was close. I figured somewhere between 6 and 7, somewhere like that.
I'm sorry, that actually didn't have Hunter's Gap and Hurricane Bridge on it, the ones that we proposed to cut. I'm sorry.
From Hurricane Bridge, if you go across
Yeah.
Sandy
Hunter's Gap,
Ridge,
Hurricane
about
Bridge,
3 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's maybe 3.5 miles between the two. And then from Hunter's Gap to the transfer station, Convenience Center, maybe,
8 miles.
no, it's not that much. Maybe 5 is the most. Maybe 4 point, I won't say 4.8, but not 100% sure on that.
But I guess what I was getting at, you know, a 6 to 7 miles, and is kind of probably the average that most people, because I know on certain parts of my district, you know, probably up toward the Kentucky line to make it back to St. Charles or the Pocket area, I'm sure they're traveling 6 or 7 miles too. So, you know, those are things
say it's 7.5 miles, to Flatwoods by Flannery Bridge from Hurricane Gap, and from Hunter's Gap, 5 miles to the transfer station.
On that diagram, if you look at them, I mean, there's several 9 miles to the next one that's on that list. You know, 6 to 9 miles is about average from one side to the next.
Okay. Okay, with that, I guess we're ready for anybody else.
My name is Paul Peters. I'm on Route 70, box 4984. And I have a dump in front of my home. And it's been there for 12 years. But first of all, I want to appreciate every one of you all, what you all do, okay? You've got my utmost respect. But I like to see this dumpster moved, this trash dump, please. I've had it for 12 years there, and I've had enough of it.
And that's which
And
one?
I appreciate Jack and his wife, they do a wonderful job. And I was just telling Jack here back in the fall early, I went there and picked up a dead deer and took it on my place and buried it, so they wouldn't have to fool with it. Now, I put up with the smell, I put up with the trash. People will definitely come down there and throw their trash on the ground and knowing this dumpster's empty. I wish I could say something to them. I wish I could do something, but I can't. It ain't for me nothing to say. But I wish you all would do something with it, or could maybe get the two from down there what they've been speaking about, maybe a centerpiece in there somewhere, and try to compromise on the distance or something. But me and my wife go to Jonesville or Walmart at least 4 days a week. And the landfill is not but a quarter mile from 70 over there. And I can't see why people can't do that. That ain't no problem for me or nobody else that I know of.
Where'd you say the dump site was that, sir?
Out there at the intersection. My property is 30 feet from the dumpster. Out there at the intersection, sir. And I've put up with it for 12 years. And I hate to see somebody else put up with it too.
Well, one thing I'd like to add to one of your comments there, actually it is yours and mine and everybody else's responsibility. When we see somebody throwing trash out, we should get a tag number and it should be reported.
Well, I would have done it, sir, but I don't want to get whooped. You know, I mean, I gotta get close enough where I can see it.
I think it can be.
Oh, I wanted to say something a million times, sir. Don't get me wrong, because I've
you
told
know,
Jack.
I understand that.
And I want to help out. I want to help.
I do understand that, but there's a whole lot of people that feels that same way, and if everybody's scared to, to say something, then where are we in a society? If everybody's scared to stand up for what they believe in, where are we at?
Well, could you put a sign up, say a fine for $500, or put some kind of sign up?
I don't think that's
I mean,
stop them.
I know it won't stop them, but it may.
I don't even think it's gonna slow them down, but now these are just my opinions.
I understand, sir.
My
I understand what
opinion
you're saying.
is that we, as Lee County citizens, take a hold of it on our own. We gotta do things about it. If you see somebody dumping, turn them in. I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, if you see somebody dumping, call me, give me their tag number. I have no problem with turning it in.
Well, now, they do have an open area there, Jack can tell you, where they put their couches and stuff like that. I've actually seen people, they had to shovel their trash in their truck or pack it there and come down there and just deliberately just kick it out. Now, Jack had this problem here about 3 weeks ago down there. It was day after day. And it's sad, it is. Now, we've got good people over there on 70, don't get me wrong. There's some fine people over there, but they treat it right. But you've got the other percent don't care. And it's sad.
I understand.
But
Wholeheartedly.
if we could do anything, I'd appreciate it, sir.
Well, I appreciate you, and like I say, I wholeheartedly believe in let's all take responsibility.
If there's some way to work it out between that other place, the river down there, some middle place, that would be good, I'm sure, if we could do that. If anything I can help, I'll do it. I've took my tractor down there a few times and picked stuff up, keep from jacking them out to fool with it. I buried it on my property. I don't care to help, but I can't keep up with all, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
My name's Tyler Strouth, and I live in Hurricane, or I have to go by Hurricane Bridge dump every day. There at the bridge, I just live about a mile down the road from there. And I've been there for about 15 years. And yeah, Lee County is a beautiful place. That's why I like living here. It's a beautiful county, and there's not a county that can hardly rival it for beauty, but there's just a few small people that is just trying to ruin it for everybody else. And people come here from other, we want tourism, they come here and what they see is trash and litter, just, it's like a slum. And I try to help Jack as much as I can. He comes by in the morning, he picks up the trash. I come back, and I bet he's not even home. Somebody's come by and they're throwing the trash out all over the ground. Just as if, they don't know there's a trash can there that they could throw it into. And I think a lot of people are coming from outer state, but I have figured out on an average in the last 15 years, I bet you there has been 10,000 mattresses thrown out there. I mean, every weekend there was 3 or 4 mattresses laying there, 3 or 4 couches. Where's it coming from? It's got to be coming from somewhere. And I try to help Jack keep it cleaned up, but a lot of times I just take my trash to a place that's fenced in. I don't even want to be bothered with it. And I was recycling probably 80%. I was taking trash. I couldn't recycle cans and glass bottles, but I was recycling all of my plastic, all the papers and cardboard and everything. I had just a little small bag of trash a week that I throw in, like scraps or whatever. I think the biggest problem is, people don't care, but some people don't. But it comes down to being educated. If there was people being educated somehow to not do this, I mean, it has to be ingrained that that it's wrong, that there's a way that they can do something about it. And that is not, and having some pride in their community, have some respect for their neighbors in the country that we live in. It's not just Lee County, it's happening all over the country, it's happening all around the world. And we really have to come to some kind of conclusion as to what to do about it. And it comes down to just education, basically. And I'm fine with taking my trash to a fenced-in place. I don't like using that place down there. But I really love this county. I love the people in it. I just wish that it just wasn't so filthy. That we had some way that people would get educated to not litter and to recycle, because that would solve a lot of problems. Thank you.
I think to your point, going back to your point there, it's like a whole lot of things in our world today. All that needs to start at home. Once it's taught at home, and it's practiced at home, it's gonna be followed right along.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Our litter coordinator, when we first started with that, we had them going to the schools. We thought maybe if we could educate the children, that they could educate their parents. And that's, we still do that. We still have our litter coordinator going to schools, trying to educate the kids. And I heard a funny story. I got to share this. It's pretty good. Our EDA director, his mother was a librarian, and one of our coordinators had been to the school and talked to them about throwing trash out the windows. So he comes back to school a few days later, and he said, Miss Fee, he said, we had that class the other day about littering, and he said, we had to go to Kingsport, and we went McDonald's and got us something to eat, and he said, I waited till we got in Scott County before I throwed it out the window. And she said that kid was just so proud of himself that he didn't litter in Lee County, but, you know, you don't need to do it anywhere, really. And I remember in 1976, I went to Canada, and when I crossed that border into Canada, I was totally amazed. You didn't see a chewing gum wrapper anywhere. You know, and I'm thinking, why can't we be like that? And, you know, you see stuff laying beside the road, a whole bag of garbage. Now, how's a whole bag of garbage blow out of the back of a car or out of the back of a truck? And, you know, people don't care. They just go out there and throw stuff in, take off down the road, and it blows out. I only live 2 miles from the convenience center over here. And when I put trash in the back of my truck, I put it where there's always the heaviest stuff's on top and the lightest stuff's on the bottom. I mean, it's just common sense to me. But, you know, other people don't care. Plastic bags, you can leave Walmart and go either direction. They're laying everywhere. In the summer times, it's ice bags. They go get them some beer and porter, ice over there, and then just throw that plastic bag in the back truck and think it's going to stay there. And another comment about the Hurricane Bridge, there used to be a fence there, correct, Mr. Pope?
Yes, sir, behind it.
Behind it. And they tore it, did they steal it?
They stole the fence. Yeah, and we've tried to put cameras at different locations. Hurricane Bridge is a very difficult place to find. It's cliffs on the opposite side of the road, and if they can see cameras, they'll either destroy
Yeah, they're
them or
not gonna
steal
stay
them.
there.
Now, Larry, about a month or two ago, remember the other side of Jones, when you hit 4 lane, you thought Tennessee trash went through
Yeah.
there.
Well, everywhere. I mean, it's bad right now. But we've been discussing, you know, if the sheriff's office doesn't have officers that want to volunteer, we're maybe looking at somebody to hire part-time, you know, and get the prisoners and take them out, you know, like 3 days a week, every week, all during the year. Find somebody that's retired, you know, and just wants a little part-time job or something. But that's what we're looking at. If the sheriff, you know, and Dane's been in contact with his office, and, you know, if they're not gonna do it, we're gonna find somebody that will. Because it's, you know, it just, you drive into Scott County, I mean, you see a little trash going off the backside of the mountain, but once you get away from the Lee County trash, then you're all right, you know, it's pretty clean.
What'd you say your name was? I can't, you're a little far away from me.
Come up to the front there.
I have enough trouble hearing somebody right here in the front of me.
I'm Jack Warner. I work for the county, and people spend their opinion what to do and everything. I'm 85 years old. There's a certain class of people that has done that. The forefathers done it. They come up, they do it. I don't care what you do. That old folk crash out. And when I go out in the morning, I go out expecting to pick up crash. So I work for the county, and that's my big. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
I do have one more comment, Mr. Chairman, if I could. And it's about the Sundays. Usually I have garbage, a couple of bags. I go over here to the transfer station at convenience center. And 9 times out of 10, I wind up calling the sheriff's department to come get them out of the dumpsters. I'm talking about in them. And, you know, most time I just go ahead and call, and I get out and I say something to them. I say, you know, if y'all know what I know, you might want to get out there and leave, because the sheriff's department's already on their way. I mean it, and you know, people set stuff outside, toys and things, you know, that somebody else can use it, that's fine. But when you get in that dumpster and you start going through bags of garbage with people's personal information. You know, I burn mine. I don't throw anything in there that's got my name on it, but everybody don't do that. And it's not right for somebody else to be over there going through your garbage. And Sunday it's the blue, what is it, Blue Light Special?
Yeah.
We got more customers up there. I pulled in one day and this guy was standing there and he said, yeah, there's Christmas shopping.
But it actually takes place every day, cause I was at the convenience center in Keokee yesterday, and our guy there in Keokee had just, made somebody leave on account of that, told him, no, he's better never to catch him back again.
Yeah.
So it's every day, I mean, it's just not really Sunday.
Yeah. But, you know, Sunday over here, that's the one I use mostly, is, you know, Sunday's the big day because they let everybody, you know, and you go where about 4 or 5 o'clock, I guarantee you get somebody in a dumpster. And that's usually when I go, so I call.
Okay, before we get too far astray, we better stay on subject.
I'm Al Hubbard. I live at Seminary next to Mr. Taylor here. I pretty much stand. He's pretty much covered everything we was talking about, but I kind of like to see somebody go up there and take some of the inmates and let's do a good cleanup up there at Olinger. It's looked the same for months. In the meanwhile, it looks pitiful. Take your drive by there when you're going back that way. Just kind of gander over there. Nothing's changed in months. Get some inmates up there and clean it up a little. In the meanwhile, please. It needs it bad.
I got one thing. You guys did a wonderful job, and you hit on something.
Hang on just a minute now, is the lady with you?
Yes.
Okay, have her come up and speak for you, cause we just can't be standing up in the middle of the meeting and start talking.
Just one question.
I mean, we gotta keep this a little bit organized. And I do appreciate, so far, we've had a lot of good comments and everything's been held really, you know, the way it should be held, so I would just as soon it remain that way until the meeting's over, and then just talk all you want outside the courthouse there, but while we're in here, let's just do it properly. And but now, if she wants to speak on your behalf, she can spend 3 minutes on that too. I mean, that's fine.
I'll be talking to Robert.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board, Mr. Administrator. I'm Amy Hubbard, Mr. Taylor's neighbor and Alan's wife. Since we've got a couple on here to close because of the trouble, and they're looking for another spot for the Olinger one. The distance from that one to the Dryden one is about 7 miles, I think Gary had on there. I think if you close the Olinger one and made people drive to the Dryden one, that would do away with a lot of Wise County trash, Wise County contractors dumping out all around. And they're gonna do it even if it has a fence around it, because the way it's gonna be set up, they're gonna drive in there, fence is gonna be closed, they're gonna drop it all around. I think that if we just close the Olinger one, that would do away with a lot of the Wise County trash coming in, maybe save on costs. Just my 2 cents. As far as the proposed site for the new fenced-in one on 58, I'd rather not have that. My driveway is named Bellevue, means beautiful view, and that's definitely not what it will be if those dumpsters get put there. Besides the health concerns with Mr. Taylor and our well, so if we get that on the agenda, we'll be back to that. Thank y'all for your time.
Anybody else?
Good afternoon. My name's Mason Johnston. I live at 297 Countryside Drive. It's located there on the Hurricane Road. Lived there for the last 3 years, but I've always lived in that area my entire life. I mostly use the Hurricane dump site. I could be wrong about stating this, but it seems several years back they did try to remove the dumpsters for a little while and then hurriedly put them back. Thought process there, but I could be wrong on that, but they talked about it before. I do feel like if you remove them, people are going to continue to dump the boats and the mattresses and everything right there at that location. So is it better to have the dumpsters there to contain the majority of it and have to put up with cleaning up what they miss? Or is it better you're just going to be going down there anyway and cleaning up your mess regardless? There's no doubt that a good fair bit of it comes over from the Tennessee side. And again, you can go down there about any day of the week and there's people in the dumpsters. Happened the other day, I put a bag on a lady's head. Sure did. Threw it over in there and she went, ah! So I don't have a solution for you, and I don't really like saying anything without proposing a solution, but I would warrant caution with removing that one just for the sheer overflow of trash that you'll have to deal with being dumped there anyway. As for the hours, well, let me back up. Yes, I do remember when the fence was there, and it worked while it was there. So if you do leave them, obviously you will have to do something along those lines of fencing it, or even running a cable and a stake in the ground to keep them from being pushed away, if nothing else. Locking them in there, which would be an inconvenience for the man having to dump them, but shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to uncable them, dump them, cable them back down. That would at least prevent them from being pushed into the river. As for the hours of operations, shortening it for the evenings, especially if you're talking about taking away other convenience centers, would only inconvenience people more so. As far as the afternoon hours, the winter hours. The Sunday thing, I'm not really going to comment on. That's I do run a landscape business. I do use transfer station regularly throughout the year. The Saturday proposal I'm not opposed to at all. I don't do a lot of that on Saturday because I try to be with my family on Saturdays. But at least you're trying to make it convenient. You know, some people mentioned on communication. I'd say the majority of the county didn't even know that this was being brought up at tonight's supervisors meeting. So if you do make these changes, you know, getting that out in some form of another would be beneficial to you all, so that they understand, hey, you know, it is closed on Sundays, or it's going to be only open when the contractors will know when it's open on Saturdays. So that's really all I've got to say. I just wanted to warn you about. They're going to dump at the Hurricane Bridge, probably regardless. I hate that it is that way, but it is what it is. You all have a good night.
Mason?
Yes, sir.
If we move that will be filled in. There won't be any place to pull over there. VDOT will take care of that.
We typically, that's what I was gonna say, in the few sites that we have closed in the last several years, there's been very few of them, but we coordinate that with VDOT, because we're on their right of way, and every one of those sites that we're talking about being open now, the one at Seminary, the one at Hunter's Gap, the one at Hurricane Bridge, we've got one up on 606 that's partially on VDOT, but we've got another location already that we're developing for that one to fence it in. But at all those locations, we're on VDOT right of way, and we have coordinated with them if we close a site to do everything they can. In one location, they basically cut a trench to cut that area off. At Hurricane Bridge or at Hunter's Gap, I'm not sure exactly what they would do. Maybe install guardrail to prevent anybody from even pulling off the road there. Now, wouldn't stop somebody from stopping in the middle of the road and throwing it over the hill. But if they're going to do that, they'll do it anywhere they can. I mean, you know, but we do try to coordinate with them to prevent them from becoming permanent dump sites after we pull out of there. So.
Right. Best of luck to you on that.
Yeah.
You know, and one comment about the communications thing, you know, it's almost impossible. I think we've discussed this before. It's almost impossible, but Powell Valley is, that weekender is actually about the only way that you can reach everybody, because that is offered to everybody in the county, and that is about the only.
We haven't received
I say in Lee County, we have, you know, we have different ones, so it's kind of a problem, you know, this is not the only issue we've ever ran into with trying to get the word out. It is difficult, and I wish there was a solution for that, but like I say, that paper is the most reliable one, and like I say, they pay to make sure that thing is delivered, so if it's not, somebody is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know, if you got.
It's on Facebook these days.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy if you've got internet, but there again, you know, look at how many people in this county don't have internet, so.
We can't get internet. 20 grand.
So, okay, anybody else? We're on a roll. We got 12 so far. Gary?
I would say one thing in regards to the, cameras and stuff. We bought game cameras, we put them on the cliffs, we've done everything. Couple days later, they're gone. We've hit them to where I've hit them and had my workers even look for them. And two of them, my assistant couldn't find them, and come back 2 days later and they're gone. We put fence up, they're gone. We put signs up at the open sites, they throw the signs away. And the other one, which, Mr. Mosley was on the board when this one was closed, over here at Walton Street, we closed the site over there and everybody was worried that things, it'd be piled up in the road. Actually, there wasn't the first bag ever done. To this day, it's never been done there.
Well, you know, the one at Keoki was like, you know, the site was moved from Keoki down there where the old depot used to be, you remember that? And moved to the new site now, and nobody threw trash down there at the old site, you know, which surprised me, but they did.
My name's Roger Waddell. I work for the county. My wife said not to ramble. I have to correct Gary on one thing. There was one bag of garbage thrown out over there, I think. Just one bag, I think, was, because that's what everybody says. Well, if they don't throw it out here, they're gonna throw it out someplace else. You know, that is a what if. And all this takes, I said this thing up here the other time. It takes communications, it takes training. It's sad to say this, but it takes training people to get them to learn the times, learn the hours. I think most of everybody in here, there's few people may work on Sundays. You know, those site workers might like to go to church and not have to worry about coming back and cleaning up a mess because they was gone. And people say, well, why can you not just go and open it and then, just go to the house? Well, you can't do that because you have to babysit everybody. You've got to clean all this stuff up where they've been in the dumpsters digging it out. And Sydney, you might not have, but the rest of you guys, I have brought videos. Well, I've not brought them. They got brought here of Olinger. That's where I work at. And it is sad. I mean, it's sad if we can't agree to do something about that place. And one other thing, I mentioned his name and I don't think he would care. You have Marvin Bartley. He's 95 years old. If you cannot let that man go home at 6 o'clock, as bad as this world is, it's sad that you cannot let that man get home before it gets pitch black dark. And
let me ask you, to that point, you seem to have a lot of answers. How many incidents have we had with one of our convenience center workers over the years?
okay, I'll tell you this. I'm to the point, I hope I have a job tomorrow.
But I'm to the point, if they pack the place off, I'm not gonna say nothing, cause when I say something to somebody, it's a racket and it's a fuss wanting to fight because they're in there digging in the garbage.
So do
And,
you report that?
sir,
There-
we
no,
have
there's
reported
no-
and
no,
we
no,
have
no, no.
reported.
Let's just back up here just a minute now. I think your job requires you to report that.
Well,
Am I correct on that?
He does, and he does report it.
I'm just asking, who's it reported to?
well, I come in and I chew his ear and he's pouring and
I'm not
fussing.
saying you put Gary on the spot, cause, you know, I'm saying, if it's reported, it ought to be reported to the sheriff's office. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I assure you of that, so there's no reason that they shouldn't be contacted.
Well,
Is there a problem with doing that? If you felt like your life was endangered, or you felt like somebody was gonna injure you, would you not call the sheriff's department or somebody at that time?
you know, we have, as employees here, we are under scrutiny from every side. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, back to one other thing, if you could get some tickets wrote for this stuff that we're reporting, stuff like that the news of that travels real far, and that would probably do more about stopping future stuff.
Well, I understand that, but you gotta report it to get a ticket wrote. I mean, it's gotta be reported somehow.
I have to say, I mean, Roger brings stuff in, the site workers send stuff by them with addresses and stuff, it's thrown out in front of the gate. We took it, been to court over it, and there's a bigger priority, let me just say that, as far as the judges, and they just put it, the same thing as like same thing as like animal control. They'll come over here sometimes and spend a whole day in court over all the tickets they wrote, and everyone all day long gets thrown out.
And I appreciate that comment you just made, because it needs to be made public. Somebody has to be held accountable for it.
Yeah, I mean, but we do that, we bring stuff before, and I've been there going on 11 years, and in the 10 years I've been superintendent, I mean, we brought stuff before, and when it gets thrown out before we can even get here, you know, after 10 years, it's kinda hard to just keep doing it and wasting your time when you got other things you can do.
That's what I was.
But if we're
that's what I
there
was
again,
getting at.
if we stop, then we've gave up.
My opinion, I think we as committee, board, whatever, I think we need to have a meeting with the judges and say, look, if we're bringing this stuff, and we're wanting to clean up the county, then you all got to get on board and do something with the ticket.
But I do know, I've been in on enough of these, job interviews that it is part of the job, you know, to report this stuff.
But I feel
So to
that
throw your
it's,
hands up
well,
and say, you know,
I feel that it's
and you're under
not
no
worthwhile.
scrutiny. I can assure you, you're under no scrutiny from our board members, cause I can't think of a board member that's ever put pressure on anybody.
But I was in your neighborhood today. Your man up there, I don't know how many of them knows Johnny B. Most everybody likes him, Johnny. He said, I come in here this morning, 3 or 4 bags of garbage, throw it over the fence. All it would take is get some names out of that garbage, write a ticket or 2. News like that travels really fast. And I think a little policing will go a long ways about shutting down your sites that you're wanting to shut down, and the ones that are, that you're worried that they're gonna.
Well, you're right. That goes along with the trash that gets threw out on the side of the road and everywhere else. You know, once these, you know, they start enforcing this stuff, but you know, we got to keep pushing it for them to ever do it. I mean, this is the only way to make it known that nothing's being done about it. I'm sure most of the people in this room, probably right here, doesn't have a clue that, you know, that nothing's, you know, if you all write a summons or something like that, that nothing's being
say this, I hope that you will do something. I hate for my taxpayers' money to be paying for Wise counties. You have a terrible problem at Olinger with Wise County. You have a terrible problem at Jasper. I mean, I confronted a man there. I mean, he was ready to fight, and he was from what's the air conditioning place up there? Mid-Mountain. Yeah. He was from Mid-Mountain, drove in there in a Mid-Mountain van to throw garbage out there. I said something to him. I mean, it was just about a fight. But I don't think we as taxpayers need to be paying for all this out of state and out of county garbage.
I agree with you. I do agree with you there. But we gotta stop them. The ones that's working at these places, they've gotta put a stop.
She's on her way.
Just don't let that thing get away.
I know it. Hey, my chair says he's going to put the chair limits on me. So. My name is Karen Carter. I live in the Flatwoods area. Born and raised in the area. Left for a little while. So, as my husband said, saw a lot of improvement over the last few years. So, 2 questions. Who is our litter coordinator? Who is he?
Harold Michaels.
She, he, it?
Harold Michaels, he's the litter coordinator.
What is his job? What is his capabilities?
Well,
Can he write tickets? Can he issue tickets? Can he take pictures? Can
Well,
he follow people?
Let's refer you to Dane on this, cause Dane has
So
his.
I didn't know we even had litter coordinator.
Mr. Poe has his job description and what he, maybe some of the things he can and can't
I
do.
realize Lee County's a huge, I'm
Okay,
empathetic.
that's the biggest issue. It's one employee. He's litter and recycling coordinator.
Okay.
He can write citations. You have to catch someone in the act
Okay.
before you can write that ticket.
So it sounds like he's right on
For-
Roger at least one morning.
For several years, the coordinator would go out and sit at sites. Someone pulls up and sees the litter coordinator car sitting there, or a truck sitting there,
course, he's gonna-
they're gonna just go on to the
Again,
next one
right
because
with
they know
Roger.
he's not there.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta be covert about this, obviously, they're
True,
being covert,
true.
so let's.
And they also follow up,
Work
they're
smarter,
working,
harder.
trying to coordinate cleanups of dump sites.
Sure.
In the county. We typically do those in the winter months because snakes are not out.
Right.
They follow up on complaints on individual homes, things of that nature.
Right.
But
But it sounds like if they were writing citations, if they're coming from that and they're going to the judges, at least maybe that would reduce and be a little bit more streamlined with that.
And the litter coordinator has attempted to use cameras in conjunction with solid waste.
Obviously, that's not working.
It has to be a video recording to take it into court.
Or if he
because
saw them in sight, if he caught them in the act.
if he catches them in the act.
Right. Can he ride along in the trucks? He's a county employee, right?
Yes.
So he could ride in the trucks? Might be an option, or at least start with some of the area. All right, so now I have limited time, so question number 2.
Now, wait a minute,
Oh,
let me
sorry.
get caught
Well,
up there.
are you gonna-
'Cause you were
his timer's
answering-
gonna go off. You're gonna-
you were kind of, no, I'm in charge here, so I
Okay,
can give you
all right, so I get a little- I get an
I can give
extension?
you,
All right.
another second if you'll just kind of, you're
Okay.
answering too many questions to
Sorry.
keep me caught up here, but. Now, what was that again about riding in the truck?
If he would ride, or literal, I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
Mr. Michaels, Harold Michaels.
Harold
Mr.
Michaels.
Michaels, would he have the opportunity to ride along? So obviously, if Roger was saying, and some of the other trucks, how many trucks do we have?
There's 3 trucks running every single day.
3 trucks running every, and they go to various locations. So if he had the opportunity, you were saying, they see him coming, they know he's in a particular truck, right? So if he's in one of the trash trucks and they pull up and there's people there, he catches them in the act, could he not write them tickets?
Well, I'm sure he could. There's no reason he couldn't, but.
So, would that not be an option? If they say he's never there, he's waited, he's been trying to do cameras, the cameras aren't working and so forth. So if that's an option for him to be in one of the trucks, so obviously if they see people doing this and he's there and they're catching people in the dumpsters, if he's there in the truck with them and there's somebody's head pops out, obviously he has them, he can issue them a ticket. And if they fail to appear, then, you know, at least we've done something.
Okay, so let me just fill you in on this.
Okay?
Our litter coordinator is actually, is it legal to be?
I would caution you not
Let's
to
just say this.
discuss
Let's
any
just
health
say
matters.
this.
Not in public.
Let's just go I'll go this route. I won't make that discussion, but he hasn't been working full-time since November, maybe?
So he's on a leave of absence.
No, he's not on a leave of absence, but he's
But he has some
working
restrictions.
on a restricted basis right now, so, you know, he's not able to get out and ride those trucks, I mean, like that at will, but
Could you deputize someone to do that?
All the sheriff's deputies can write citations.
Could they ride along in the truck
They
with them
can,
then?
but I doubt if the sheriff's gonna take them off the road in the cruisers.
So
you,
we
you know,
could
you
even-
have to
Trash
weigh the
trucks.
options, you know, whether you want that sheriff's deputy out there
I understand.
patrolling for your, public safety, or if you want him out
So
there
is this gonna be
watching
a
for somebody.
long-term health issue for our employee?
Hopefully not.
Okay. So
Hopefully not.
once he's reestablished into his
Yes.
role,
And
regular role?
he is, he was hired last April,
Mhm.
I think April, so he's still, in a sense, fairly new to the job. The coordinator prior to him stayed with us 6 months. So we've been through some transition
I'm
in the
sure it's a
last
very
year and a
trying
half
job.
that's
I have no doubt.
slowed some things down on that
I'm
front.
certainly empathetic to that, certainly.
But there again, that's where I wanted to emphasize, I'm sorry.
You mind if I jump in?
Go right ahead.
He'll give you more time for me interrupting, but. Dave, do you know how many tickets have been written in 2019 by any county employee for littering or anything that we're talking about?
No, I don't have a count on that.
Would anybody know that?
No, as far as tickets, I don't know, I know when the town employee, Travis Mullins, Gary Seaver were here for the town, I'd call them, they come up and write tickets all the time, because I handed out the Lee County Code, for, you know, to write the tickets on the, prowlers and all that to the officers. So, town of Jonesville, they would respond real quick and write the ticket. The county, they're kind of spread out a little bit farther, and it's harder for them to get there.
By the time they got there, they're gone.
Yeah. But, I know they wrote a lot of tickets. I know he brought several to court and got dismissed.
You talking about Travis?
Yes.
Do you know why they got dismissed? On what grounds?
Good lawyering.
Careful, Sid. Can't show you favoritism.
I do know that the pictures, I actually had game cameras, and I had pictures of vehicles coming through the gate every 3 seconds. And we took him, I took him to the, litter coordinator at the time. That was, Mary Wire, that's probably been 6 or 7 years ago. She took it to court. The judge threw it out because it was not continuous video from the time that they went through the gate until they pulled back out. They threw it away.
Let me throw two other things out. There's no reason that any county employee or any citizen can't charge somebody. You can't write the citation, but you can go to the magistrate and say, I saw Joe Blow littering. It's a class 1 misdemeanor. You just write on the warrant what happened, on the criminal complaint. You sign it under oath, they get charged. So whether you're driving a trash truck or you see somebody, or Larry sees somebody digging a dumpster, you can do that yourself. You don't have to call that stuff in. There's no requirement that something be on video for somebody to get charged. I had a client, the only client I've ever represented for littering in 10 years was last year. Citizen took that out. My guy allegedly threw something out in the guy's yard. The guy saw it. He came in, signed a warrant. So there's no reason that people can't take care of a lot of this problem. And I'll make a recommendation that maybe your office talk to General District Court Clerk and get a report every month of how many people were written for littering, dumpster diving, any of that stuff.
You mean from the sheriff's office?
Well,
written by officers or written by us? If I'd just soon get it from our employee rather than get it from the clerk's office. If they write the ticket, we'll know it. I don't know that, I don't know how many sheriff deputies, if any, write littering tickets.
Well, probably not. I'd like to know the total of our employees, sheriffs, private citizens, when they are written, who's writing them. I suspect it's not county employees writing them.
Well, you're saying employees. The litter coordinator is probably the only employee that's gonna be attempting to write littering.
But he shouldn't be. That's my point. If a driver sees somebody coming out of a trash can or sees somebody littering, they can go to the magistrate just as an officer can.
Can they do it anonymously?
No,
Do they have to get
no,
the-
no. And they're gonna have to appear in court on that date. And if they're, and here's where I get into the role of manager of employees. I'm not gonna ask any employee. It's a crazy world. And there's some people that will shoot you for stupid
Next.
things. And I'm not gonna ask a county employee to put their life on the line for a bag of trash. I'm not gonna do that.
What are you referring to?
I'm saying that our drivers are consistently at the same sites at about the same time of days, 4 or 5 days a week. I don't want them to drive up after having taken someone to court, whether they get convicted or not, and that person step out and shoot them because they turned them in. I'm saying that's a potential issue. You're grinning, but you haven't faced some of these people. We've got another employee that worked the Cane Creek site several years ago, and he was threatened repeatedly by the same man. And he was the kind of person that wouldn't back down.
Well, you can't ask your litter coordinator to write tickets and then say nobody else can because you should be afraid of these people. Who would
Okay.
want that job if it's as dangerous as what you're saying? I mean, it's 2 murders per year on average in Lee County, and it's not over bags of litter and who charged somebody.
Sometimes over sillier stuff than that.
He's right.
But I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just saying there's a safety factor out there. And again, the truck drivers, yeah, they can see it. It's gonna be a while before they get back here to be able to take a warrant,
Well, you got a year.
okay? And then, how many of those do you actually think would be successful in court? As an attorney, how many do you think would be successful in court? It's our driver's word against that person.
I think
Can,
most of them, this idea of somebody throws a bag of trash over and you can look in there and see whose name's on the envelope, that's a loser, I can tell you that. Did my cleaning lady throw my trash out across it, or did I? I mean,
Yeah.
that's easy to beat, but when the driver sees it, most people aren't gonna, try to argue those kind of cases. I mean, about 90% of cases get played out, so I feel confident that if the driver says, I saw him and I know that's Joe Blow, and he was doing this, then, yeah, I mean, I think they'll get convicted.
But doesn't the driver have a cell phone? Can't you take a video? Wouldn't that be admissible in court?
Sure, yes.
Then it wouldn't need to be word against word, it would be a video, as long as it was 3 minutes.
What if they,
Conducive?
how do they determine who that person is?
What, is that Mr. Joe Blow sitting there in court today?
Do
that
you
saw
know
him?
everybody that you see at the sites
No, I'm not saying you will
on your
know.
route?
But if you did,
I'm just saying, they don't even know who the individuals are.
Yeah.
options, we need options, and that's what, that's all I was asking, it's just.
Well, and that's the whole idea, of having a public meeting, you do get some, good results out of it, I think, there's been a lot of good comments here tonight, a whole lot.
May I ask my second question?
We did.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick.
I told her you'd get more time if I interrupted.
He promised.
He saved
That'll be
you.
quick.
He saved you.
On the recycling, I'm near dear to my heart as well. We have Walmart, we have IGA, who also does. Have we investigated, Mr. Collinsworth, anybody as far as coupling contracts with them?
They do not. I talked to Walmart, and they have their designated, they actually have a contractor that is Southwest Sanitation, that's where we do. But they have a contract with every Walmart
They just
within,
track.
I think from Harrisonburg this way, in Parkton, Kentucky.
What
They
about
have contracts.
IGA? What do they do?
They have a,
Is their IGA owned too because of the franchise?
I think I can speak for this whole board, that I don't think there's anybody on this board is opposed to recycling. It's just the fact that we're elected to make the best decisions we can on the use of taxpayer dollars. And at this time, you know, it hasn't been the best use of taxpayer dollars, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Actually, I was behind getting the litter, recycling program started. And I visited a lot of different places, seeing how they did it. And I know we were in Johnson City, and the first thing they said to us, do not fool with glass. You don't want to touch it. Now, Gary can tell you about the plastics and why we quit doing the plastics. I think Knoxville has quit doing it, Johnson City, Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, you just think about how much plastic is generated in those places. But Gary can tell you about the labor, how intense it is with the plastics. Gary, would you mind speaking on that?
Well, in regards to the plastics, our convenience centers are set up for, a lot of the other convenience centers and other locations, other municipalities, they use roll-off containers, so everything got dumped in loop. We did put bottles, put everything in the building, which was a lot easier for us to go and retrieve. But once we got the bottles, which was bagged up, the bags were filled by the community center workers. But once we got them and got them to, the facility, not counting any more of that time, just the time from that point forward to make a bale, you have to sort number ones, you have to sort number twos, and you have to pull out all the little yogurt things. Everybody thinks that it's plastic. None of that's recyclable, so all that goes in the waste anyway. And about probably at least 30% of every bit of plastic bottle that comes in goes in garbage anyway, because it's not even number ones or number twos that's even recycled. So you separate that. And it takes a bin, if you can imagine, it takes a bin 6 foot wide, 6 foot tall, and 14 foot long to make one bale of plastic. Well, you know what plastic does? When you compact it, you let it up, it goes right back. It takes about, once you've got it separated, it takes about 6.5 hours to make one bale. So,
Which pays how much?
one bale, maybe $19, $20 per bale. I mean,
It's not a moneymaker.
no, it's not, and it's, like I said before, it's not that we as a whole, as a county, it's not like we didn't try to make this work. I mean, we did every effort, we made every effort not to just give over our hands and walk away from it when the first change came about. We tried those.
And if the price comes back up, we'd be willing to restart it, but I mean, you know, China was, I think, buying most of it in Japan,
Yeah.
the cardboard and the paper.
And the mixed
They quit.
paper, we went to several different recycle meetings, and me and Mr. Poe and also the litter coordinator as well. We went to several different meetings and stuff, and a lot of the reasons why the market has went down, you know, China bought all this stuff. They bought it and then they tried to, you know, recycle, but now China found that bamboo grows much quicker. Bamboo it's a raw product. It's easier for them to make paper
Okay, let's get back to where we go. Who's next? Did you have something?
You were still public comment.
Yeah, that's what I say. I asked who's next.
I wonder if Wayne Markham's got anything to say since he handles all the trash that comes in.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no one else in public, I have had, received one phone call in our office and one email regarding this. Jerry Cox of Stickleyville, called in. He requested that we keep the Hunter's Gap side open and keep the other convenience centers open a half a day on Sunday. Received a, email today, to basically show support for the recycling program. This was from Mr. Chris Sexton. I don't have an address. Stated that he understood that it requires extra work on the part of the employees, but he feels that we need to do what we can to reduce what is put in the landfills. He was saddened when they were no longer able to recycle plastic, but he knows that the decision was not a result of simply not wanting to. The market as a whole was having trouble finding buyers for plastics to be recycled. The county has to pay a landfill to take our trash, and it would seem that it would be economical to continue to recycle the paper products. He asked that the residents of the county have the option to recycle what is feasible to do so and not eliminate it entirely. His fear is that if it's eliminated, it will never be reintroduced. So that's the only other comments that we've received.
Any more public comment? If not, I'd like to just say, I appreciate all y'all for coming out. I appreciate the respect. There was a lot of respect here. Everybody listened to one another, and that's important. And a lot of good comments. And it's not always when you have a group come in that everybody is really, I guess, in a good way of putting it, is as nice as you all been tonight. So, I appreciate that. As chairman, I totally appreciate that. Showed a lot of respect. And, the only way to get these things solved, and I've said it, and I think most people tell you it about every board meeting. I always say, they might be one or two people out here. Most of the time, I guess they feel like the problems of the county is not important enough to spend a couple hours to come out here and see what we're doing. But, it's not an easy job, and you can't make everybody happy. And again, we try to make the best decisions we can make based on spending taxpayer dollars. And I know we're speaking for all of us up here. We know we have one of the most beautiful counties in the country, not just in the state, but in the country. I mean, and the thing about it is, it makes you sick to know that people just keep trashing it up. And we have people that work for us, that try to do their part. And I may sound a little harsh up here sometimes. I hope I don't. I don't mean to be, but I think that everybody's responsible for what happens in our county. It doesn't matter if it's trash. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat. All that's out the door. The things that we need to do to make this county stay as beautiful as it can be, and do the best we can, is for everybody to come together and come out here and voice your opinions on things. Let your voices be heard. Don't just let it be heard on election day, or if it's just something that affects you to this month. Next month it might affect old Joe Blow, as Mr. Cobb likes to say, call that fella he knows. But everything we do or make decision on affects somebody. So again, I'll quit rambling, and I say thank you all for coming out. And public comment is closed. And we'll go on to item number 3.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, before we leave solid waste, is what you've got mainly just slides on the sides. He's got some
Okay,
photographs.
do you wanna show that to
I
the
think this
public?
would
You
probably be a
people,
better
public?
time to show them,
Okay.
if you wanna go ahead.
Can you do all that in 3 minutes? Okay.
No.
Well, we'll allow you time to get it pulled up there.
If you wanna cover what couple items
Okay.
I've got in the
While he's
meantime.
getting ready, if you all are interested, wanna stay, I mean, that's up to you all. If you don't, that's fine too, but I appreciate all you all coming out. But next on our agenda is reports and recommendations of the county administrator.
Mr. Chairman, we got a request to have a joint meeting with the school board on February 27th. That would be similar to what we've done the past few years. They'll give you some highlights on their budget issues and things of that nature. So we just asked it, I wanted to make you aware of it so you can go ahead and plan for that. That'll be after our regular meeting, but that would be, require a recess on that night. And I think it's probably scheduled for 6 o'clock. I don't think he gave me a
6.
time, but typically those are at 6 o'clock.
February 27th,
February 27th.
and that's where?
It would be at the school board office. And then the second item, in conjunction with that, we need a budget committee to work with the school board on their budget. I think they're looking at potentially having a meeting as early as next week to do some preliminary on that. So we would need a couple of board members to serve on that committee.
I'll go ahead and take care of that tonight.
That was my goal. He just, he reminded me of the February meeting. I was aware of that last month, but he just brought up the issue about going ahead and having a meeting with the budget committee. So I would like to go ahead and get those appointments tonight.
Any volunteers? Anybody want to volunteer somebody they here tonight?
I'm out there seeing. I'm gonna be out of town next week.
When is it?
Well, they were wanting to hold the first meeting maybe next week. Doesn't have to be. He just said to get back to him and let him know if we could, at what dates, and he'd see if he could coordinate with his members.
I don't suppose they'd want to do that in the evening, would they?
Yeah, they
Ours
usually
typically
do that.
don't,
They
but
usually do it. I've been on it the past 4 years, and I'll do it again if nobody else wants to do it. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but we have had them in the past. We usually have them in the evening. Yeah.
If it's in the evening, I'd be glad.
Yeah, we usually have them around 5 or 6 o'clock, so we've had them in the past.
okay. He said if you could meet next week, let him know what days and time work best, and he'd poll their committee.
You good with it?
Yeah.
I'll be fine with it too, like I say, unless one of you all wants to do it.
I did it for years. I'm good.
Okay. All right. I guess that'd be me and Sid, I guess. They want 2, don't they?
Yes.
I think I'm free anytime but the 4th, if you're talking about next week.
Okay. Yes, please.
Well, I was too. I was kinda hoping. Nobody else had that. We're ready. You done put us in the dark now, anyway.
This, which I've tried to write down on the slides actually, which location these are at. These were dumped at Flatwoods. Of course, that was after one of the workers left. Come back to that. That's just another picture there. This is the boat that I was talking about, dumped at Hurton Bridge.
There's 2 of those 10,000 mattresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mattress time hasn't come yet, so. That's tax reasons. This is at Hurton Bridge. I had already pulled this dumpster minute pickup. It takes a lot of time picking up. Of course, they burn a dumpster, American Bridge. Well, that happens quite often, like I said earlier. There's one in Olinger is on fire. That's Rush dumped at Olinger. That was, I mean, you can see that was just dump truck loads. Hunter's Gap, Sheet Rock, dump. There's another one, Olinger. American Bridge. And this is another thing, brush, and, you know, if it's clean brush, we can burn it. But when it's mixed with that, we don't have the time. The driver, when he picks all that other stuff up, gets it in the truck, when you dump it out, you can't sit there in a pad and separate the brush out that goes, you know, to keep it from going Bristol. You're paying to send brush to Bristol. Hurricane Bridge. There's Olinger again. Just, I mean, that's not just a pickup load. And that's all on that one. And then in regards to the safety issues earlier, I was talking about with the trucks. I mean, that's Hunter's Gap. When you're sitting there and dump, you're sitting in the road. We've had people come, turn off 70, 50 mile an hour and turn off the road, turn down Lower Walls Creek, and then there sits the garbage truck, and they whip around, you go through the ditch line, and, I mean, if the site workers there are walking around the truck or anything, I mean, or the driver has to get out and everything, I mean, it becomes an issue not only for the driver, but for the, you know, the citizen as well. And this is Roger dumping right now, which the fork's just come out of that dumpster. So for him to back on up just a few more feet to get to the point to where he can line up to get into the next dumpster, you can see him having to back the back end of the truck into the road.
Where is it?
This is the Owen. way, part that it's everything, this is Gibson Station, somebody tore decks down. And all this is cost of materials going to Bristol. This is more, you know, the furniture is one thing we sell, but the building materials and the tires and the other items, that's just direct cost, you know, we're sending out. This is Ewing. I mean, there's tires, there's sheetrock, there's, I mean, you name it, it's done there. That's it spread out a little bit more, but you can see there's, I mean, it's not a lot of brush in this one, but there's mattresses there, there's 5-gallon buckets, we've had 55-gallon drums of oil dropped off. Plastic totes, 250-gallon plastic totes full of oil. And there's, this one is at, Gibson Station. There's tires, there's furniture, there's, you can see brush up there in the corner, it's done. This is another one at Ewing. Mattresses, pallets, but you can see the brush mixed in it, that's, I mean, you can't separate that with it being, I mean, you could, if you had all day to spend at one site, but when he's got 6-8 sites to get on his route, you know, you can't spend the time doing it. There's another picture of stuff that was done for plywood. There's brick, block, asphalt, concrete. It can be brought into the transfer station free, no charge. But when it's mixed with garbage, it has to go to Bristol. There's another load of brush that was at Woodway. That's Ewing. So, I mean, you can see what cost that we're having to eat by not having some presence, not having some control over even our fence sites. But, I mean, I know there's a lot of proposals out there. I don't know what the ideal thing is. I mean, I really don't know
Well,
what.
Gary, as far as the mixture, you're not gonna change that, but those double bins you put up, they stuck here that on the ground. I checked those, I've done checked those down there 3 or 4 times.
Everything's clean.
They're clean, they're clean.
But they're still dumping.
That's what I say, yeah, you can't,
You can't separate it.
can't separate that.
Well, you know, there's locations though, you take like over where I live in Keoki. Most of them people are not gonna take their stuff, they're not gonna take it to Jonesville, and I know it's a cost to us and a hassle to pick it up and everything. But I feel like, you know, and this is my personal opinion, this is not the opinion of the board. But I would much rather see it put in that confined area at a cost and picked up than I would drive out the holler and look at over every little place in the holler, or try to maybe, you know, there's a lot of those side roads that's on Penn, Virginia, and some of those places like that's not far off the road, but they're people take their stuff and just dump it in a big pile that's visible from the road, so we just gotta weigh the option of what do we want, do we wanna pay a little more in some of those sites, or do we wanna just look at that stuff being done over the hill? And, people have their arguments that they won't do that, but I know for a fact they will, because I've seen it I've been living over there for 38 years, and I know what they'll do. If they don't have an open place to take it, a convenient place to take it, they're gonna take it to the next convenient place.
In regards to one thing, we was talking about writing the tickets though, and getting together with the judges or whatever to go forward with, you know, fine. I don't, you know, money means a lot to a lot of people, but it's got so much anymore that almost, they don't really care, you know, cost them this or what, if they get caught. But times, and 9 times they get away with it, and they get caught one time, well, a lot of people say, well, I can do it 9 more times. You know, I mean, and that's the mentality of some. But we had, and I'm not gonna mention their name, but we had a litter coordinator that worked several people back. We had an incident that was going on at Hunter's Gap. Contractor was they were cleaning their trucks out on the ground. We knew who it was, we knew what was going on. One of our drivers saw them going that direction. They called, so I immediately called Mary Wires, the litter coordinator at the time. I don't know what she was doing, she dropped what it was, she left, she went to Hunter's Gap, and right before she got to the intersection, she got her phone out, put it on video, and when she made the turn, she was already videoed. They were dragging stuff out of the truck. And anyway, she proposed, you know, we'll go to court, it'll be a lot worse, or you can pay the fine and do community service. Well, I have to say that that person in the middle of July wore a sweatshirt to keep from being seen. But to this day, it don't matter if he has 30 pounds of weight, he brings it across the scale, and he apologized to every worker there. But money is not just going to be the fix. It's going to have to be some community service put with it, and make a little hurt.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think the community service is a lot more important than the money part of it is.
And another thing that the committee discussed, it wasn't included on the recommendations because it's contingent on the recycling program itself, and it'll be a board decision. But if we drop the recycling program, maybe we could add an employee position on litter control to sort of double the efforts there. So.
Double.
Pardon?
What's the double from 0? It just doesn't appear that anything's being picked up. I don't see any orange bags laying around.
Well, again.
And I know what the undertone is and what can't be said maybe, but I guess you get where I'm going.
If you wanna do cleanups, if you wanna put inmates on the road cleaning up 2 or 3 days a week, VDOT will not fund it 5 days a week. The district manager flat told me that won't happen. If you wanna try to do more policing of sites to write tickets, you can't do it you can't do all that with one person. That's the point of adding a second person.
I will say this with the litter coordinator. When the litter coordinator used to be over here, they kind of sit back and waited for the courts to send people to sign up. All right. Once they moved over there, we finally got it established. All right. If you're going to sign up, you're going to sign up on Wednesday. We're not going to sit there and wait on what if somebody comes to sign up. You call in, you know, if you want to sign up, all right, you're going to have an appointment on Wednesday. That's the only day that actually frees him up to do policing of the areas, policing the community centers, go out and do checkups on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Friday. So that gave him an opportunity to actually be able to go out and do those things that needs to be done. But when you kind of sit back and just waiting or kind of allowing people to come in 5 days a week to sign up, you're tying your hands to the office. And that's where, and I talked to Ms. Cole, you know, when we started to move him over there, and that was one of the things I wanted to do was set aside one day that could be, you know, sign up day. Or if you needed to come and get more bags, or if you needed this, or you needed that, and you're on probation, one day, and that's it. Because the other 4 days, you need to be out working. And that's kind of where we were at with it. But things happened, and unfortunately, he has, for other reasons, been tied into the office. So, I mean, what
Is it still one day? Is it still just one day they can come in?
Yes.
Why does it need to just be one day if he can't go out of the office anyway?
Well, no, not right now, it's not. He
That's
he's
what
been
I'm
doing, I'm sorry, I misunderstood, but he's been doing it 5 days a week because he has been tied in his office.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, once he's cleared to go back out, it's 1 day a week you sign up, and, you know, the rest of the time, other things need to be done. So, that's why we're at that, so.
Well, I think our litter coordinator was spending a pretty good amount of time also on recycling also, so that should clear us up a little bit. I would think should clear us up somewhat.
And I can say this, and the county administrator's office probably can back me on this, since this newest litter coordinator, there has been more mail go out, more certified mail in violations than we've ever seen. Is that not right, Jenny?
Yes.
So, yeah, he may be tied to the office, but at least he's following up on complaints. Yeah, he may not be able to go to the site and stuff, but he's calling and saying, okay, by this code, you need to clean, and people, some of these, you know, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a good majority of those complaints that he's followed up with, when they get the letter of violation that he's sending them, they are responding to them, because we've had people come in and say, you know, even like he was off at different times, they come up and said, you know, well, I wanna show somebody a picture. This is my location, and I was told to pick it up and clean it up by such and such date, and they brought them in and showed, and I've seen those pictures and stuff where they've been cleaning them up, so he's making progress, unfortunately just tight.
Okay, can I get you to forward me a copy of, all those citations? Can we get that? Is that?
The letters of violation,
Yeah.
they're not citations, I guess.
Well, just
This
a-
is where he's notifying property owners
Yeah.
that they're in violation. A
Yeah.
citation hasn't formally
Yeah, I'd like to
been
get a
written.
copy of that to kinda look and
Okay.
see, you know.
Yeah, we can provide that to all board members.
Well,
And Mr. Cobb, to our discussion earlier, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that the program is where, the program or the performance is where it needs to be. But I'm just saying, if we are going to get serious about monitoring sites and monitoring illegal dumping, it's gonna take more than one person. Every Saturday, every Sunday that you put somebody out to try and monitor sites, that's a day in the week they can't work. It's 40-hour-a-week position.
You said that a lot of these people are complying. For the people who are not complying with the letters he's sending out, how many citations has he written?
I don't know, I know yesterday morning, I brought two letters over to the county administrator's office to be certified, so I don't know if that's the violation citation letter, I'm not sure.
I can't
I'd like
recall,
to-
is that in your monthly reports? I can't remember, but.
Not on the litter side, no, I mean, not on mine. Now, I know he was working on the report, today, and was gonna finalize it tomorrow for, the time that he's gonna be off.
Are you his supervisor? For the ones that he is issuing a citation for, is he writing the citation under state code or county code?
County, well, some of them are under both, I think. There's some county codes that's a little bit more specific to some details, and then there's, I know he's referring back to both county and state, I do know that.
Well,
To
I'm in
what
here,
extent, I don't know.
I'm in here pretty regularly, and I look at the docket when I'm in here, and the docket says what the charge is, and I've never seen a county code charge or a state code in 2019. I'd be interested if somebody could get a list of what he's written in 2019.
Well, that's basically what I just asked for, wasn't it?
Now, I want to, not just the letters he's sending out saying, please pick your trash up. I'm saying for the ones that didn't do what he said, who did he write a citation for, a ticket?
Oh, gotcha. You're going to the next step to looking at those, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if the word gets out that nothing happens to you when you get a letter, then nobody's gonna, you know.
I feel like we've talked enough about trash tonight. Or at least I feel for myself,
Yeah, I
I've heard
feel like
enough
I'm
trash
trashed
tonight
out here.
anyway. Trash talk.
Yeah, trash talk all
Uh,
night.
I guess next on the agenda is, reports and recommendations of the board.
I have none.
I got a few. Sorry, Robert. I wanna thank everybody for coming out, and like Mr. Leonard said, it's good to see so many people out, and I wish that people would come out more, and I wish there was 15 or 20 sitting out at every meeting that we had. To the point, there was a Mr. Taylor that got up and spoke about convenience centers, and it was the same thing that I thought. I mean, our convenience centers aren't too convenient, and when government creates this situation, government says you can't burn your trash, that's illegal. You can't bury it in your yard, that's illegal. We've got an ordinance that says we can't have a private landfill that's sanctioned by DEQ. We don't have a landfill. You can't throw it out. So the only option you have is to dump it off at a convenience center. So if you're gonna create that situation, and part of being a human, every human creates waste. So knowing that, you have to make the convenience center convenient. So I agree totally with what Mr. Taylor was saying on that. And I want to point out too, that I was not a part of the committee. I wasn't on the board at that time that made the recommendations to the board as a whole to do these things. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't, but I wasn't part of that. On the thing about the, being able to go in front of the magistrate, I wasn't necessarily saying that to pick at Mr. Waddell or anybody, but I don't think most people realize that for misdemeanors, a citizen can go before the magistrate and say what happened and get a warrant. And that's one way that we can curb a lot of this stuff. I mean, one man, the litter coordinator, can't write every ticket that needs to be written. But to the, I don't know really that I understand the argument. It doesn't make any sense to me from the, I don't want to say the committee's recommendation, but from some of what the county employees are saying. The argument is, we've got these unfenced sites and people throw out stuff at these unfenced sites, so we've gotta make those fence sites. But then you got all these pictures of the fence sites and all the stuff that's thrown out the fence sites. And then the argument is further that, well, we can't expect the trash truck driver to say something or report somebody when he sees them throwing something out at a fenced-in site. And the workers, they should be afraid to write a ticket at a fenced-in site. So what difference does it make if it's a fenced-in site or not a fenced-in site if we're saying that every county employee shouldn't write the ticket? It's totally illogical to me. So I'd like a survey to be turned in by every convenience center operator saying what citations have they written. And if they're not writing any citations for this stuff, and they're not, and I understand they don't have the authority to write a citation.
Right.
If they're not going to the magistrate, I mean, that's their job, is to keep people from dumping illegally. And if they're not willing to say something to the people because they're afraid, which that, fine, I'm not asking them to say anything, and they're not willing to go to the magistrate and get a warrant, then what are they doing? And that's a rhetorical question, but I don't understand it. So I would like for a survey to be conducted to see in 2019 who was reported by each convenience center operator. And if they haven't reported anybody in a year, I'm not really understanding what they're doing besides locking the gates and cleaning up the stuff around the dumpster. I mean, I know there's other things, they could flip the lid shut, but they're not doing that either. But I just want to understand what's going on. You know, I think where you spend your money says something about what you think is important. And right now, we're paying to guard trash, but we just say we don't have the money for school resource officers to put in all the schools. To me, it's ridiculous. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Just a quick comment on the term convenience center. I think I don't know who came up with that name for solid waste collection sites. It's universally used, but I don't know who the convenience truly is supposed to be for. Is it for the convenience of the community, to have it as close as possible to where they live, or is it for the convenience of the locality, whether it be Lee County, Scott County, Claiborne County, or whoever, to have it brought to one central location that they can pick it up rather than having to go door to door? So I don't know where the term convenience center came from, but I'm not sure to whose convenience it really.
Well, I vote that it should be convenient to the citizens.
Well, I'm just saying, I wasn't,
Well, if
you
you've
know,
got
I'm just
enough
saying, I'm
money,
not
you
sure
can do
how they
that.
got that name.
If you've got enough money, you can do that.
No, I'm just saying they shouldn't be closed any more than necessary. You shouldn't make it inconvenient to throw away waste.
Okay, my comment. The only way you're gonna stop stuff from being thrown into these fenced-in areas is to man them full-time. So, how many employees is that thing?
The hours we're keeping now,
No,
it
how
was
many
more than
employees?
double what
How
we've
many
got.
employees?
Probably 30.
3 employees per site, 28 hours a week, covers at 84 hours, which is 1 hour less than what we have at each site now.
So you're talking 30 employees, so if you just,
There's 18 sites, so 30 employees, in which I had Sharon figure it up based on $7.25 an hour, and that total comes up to cover that. It comes up to being, hold on, I can tell you exactly what that, cost is.
400-some-thousand.
No.
I thought that's what you were saying.
so you talking $1 million. And one reason that these, workers at these sites don't say anything to me is just like Jack Warner, he's 85 years old, Marvin Bartley's 96. They probably not gonna say much to anybody. I wouldn't, if I was old and as frail as they are. You know, they're just doing this, you know, just to.
Marvin's got a gun.
Marvin's got a gun. Well, if I worked at one of them, I'd carry one too. If I'd carry one.
Approximately, what's the?
Because I've had people, you know, I've got on to them being in dumpsters and tell them, you know, you can't throw that out here. You know, and I had 3 of them over there one day, and I didn't have a gun with me,
It's not worth it.
but that's one thing, and if you say you just put somebody there, you know, feasibly 8 hours a day is all you can keep them open, and you know the people are just going to have to learn to live with less hours at these convenience centers. You don't go to the bank at 5 o'clock in the evening. You don't go at 8 o'clock in the morning because you know it's not going to be open. It's education. I know when that's going to be open. Now, I know it's an adjustment because when we started closing holidays, give these guys, you know, a day off. I'd go over to the transfer station, to the convenience center, and look, it's closed. And, you know, for 13 years I've sat here, and since I've sat here, we have looked, consistently trying to find a place to get these convenience centers to. And, you know, people, well, Dane's contacted, I don't know how much time he spent trying to acquire or lease land. And, you know, they'll talk to you, and then, you know, then all of a sudden they just don't ever respond anymore. And there at Oaklander, right up the road from where that one is, this guy was gonna sell us a piece of property there. Then he just quit communicating, you know, he didn't care if he sold it or not. And as far as cleaning that up, we had decided there's no use to clean it up until we get rid of it, because they're just gonna keep throwing it over there. But once it's closed, whatever we do, it will be cleaned
It's
up.
not been cleaned up in months and months.
No, I know, but we made that decision, there's no use in cleaning it up, because they just keep throwing it out and pushing it back farther.
Well, the site itself is being cleaned up. It's down over the bank. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
He cleans it up every day. They hire big truck tires.
In fact, 1 tire a day, for the time that guy's been sitting there, he'd have it cleaned up. I'm not trying to be rude and saying that, but literally, as much as I've seen him sit there, smoking his Marlboros and stuff, and I've drove by, I use every convenience center from Dixon County to Ewing. I'm telling you, they sit there and do nothing, smoke cigarettes. In fact, 1 tire a day out in
saying that's why, you know, the only way to stop this illegal dumping is to have somebody there full-time.
That's the only way to go stop.
Now,
Or to minimize the hours based on location. And that was one of the other proposals that I give the board. And that's what a lot of the other counties do. Like the perimeter around their county, if they've got a site close to the county line, they reduce those hours that when they're open, like one day they're open in the morning, one day they're open in the evening, you know, vice versa. That way it accommodates different people's work shifts, but it limits their cost at that location to where they can afford to man the sites when they are open. A lot of counties, if the site doesn't have a worker there, the gates are closed, and that's. But the other counties, they say it works.
I mean, you know, see what I'm getting back to, when they used to be manned full-time, that's the reason they're manned part-time now is because budget issues. I mean, you know.
do we
you're
know
talking
what,
$1 million.
on average, what each site cost us? Approximate.
What do you mean?
Like for instance, Hurricane Bridge site, Hunter's Gap site, and the Olinger site that's open, on an average monthly cost, what it's costing us each month to keep those open.
Are you saying how much trash comes in,
Yeah.
or how much does the man cost?
Yeah, all of it combined.
Well, there's
Manpower.
The trash is loaded from multiple sites until the truck is full, so there's no way to know what the weight is at each individual site. I mean, you've got the employee cost at each location, but then you're talking about gravel, time and labor, maintaining the site, grading it periodically. There's not that much at the roadside sites because you're not out of the road that far.
No,
on
but
most of those.
it's a bigger cost okay, it's a bigger cost on the, you know, as far as the guys that's picking up the stuff, you know, cause they're having to take more time, and I'm sure they get out a lot of times to pick up stuff that they really shouldn't be having to pick up because it got through down, you know, a lot.
You gotta send the boom truck in to pick it up.
And that's what I'm saying, so that's an extra cost there. I was just curious as far as, you know, if you eliminate those sites completely, you know, that gives you 3 more people to work with right there.
Well, I did pull reports off of these, skill house, last week, and I didn't include it here. Just on Hunter's Gap, Hurricane Bridge, 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays when he picks it up. What he brought across the scales from those 2 sites, was, I figured it up based just on 3750, just the rough truck, was somewhere around $8,000 just in materials off the rough truck. That's just those 2 sites alone. And that, I mean, that's not counting the time and, you know, other things that I can pull that off. But as far as, like you said, for each site, like, you know, well, Monday, Roger runs, he usually goes to, Woodway first, you know, and then maybe, Olinger Drive, those 2 sites together, loads out, you know, Turner's Tip or Punch Hole loads out, or Geoffrey and Turner's Tip, or, you know, Stickleville, Jasper. I mean, a combination sometimes of, you know, 2, maybe 3 sites or something, loads the truck out. So as far as being able to pull information off of one specific site alone, there's no way to.
But I mean, I think we could all come to agree that if we just flat out closed those 2 sites along with that Olinger site, that would be a huge savings as far as the cost of running the trucks. I mean, the trash is still gonna be, you know, people are still gonna take the trash to whatever next site is, but, you know, it's gonna cut down a lot on the truck traffic, you know, their hours.
Also wear and tear.
Wear and tear,
I mean,
yeah.
trucks ain't cheap.
Yeah, so, you know, to me, that's just the most sensible thing when it comes to
we would probably have to expand the Dryden site just a little. We actually stopped and looked at that the other day. That's a lease site. We don't necessarily have we've got some additional area that we're using as entry, because it sets back off the road a little bit. But we could probably expand the fence out and add enough cans to handle it.
And I would guess probably for the price that we'd be buying a piece of property for.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Mr. Chairman, I know we're out of public expression, but I saw Wayne Markham stand up, and I wonder if he's got something to say.
But we'll just have to ask Jenny if she wants to push that button. Go ahead. You can, come on up here, we've let, everybody else had a chance. I know Dane's tired, he's been at it all day today.
Everybody spoke. I haul trash over in Bristol. My name's Wayne Markham. And I'm sure nobody don't want one in their front door. But these things that ain't fenced in is a problem, for sure. But them people's gonna got to put that trash somewhere.
Yeah.
They gonna put it over the bank on my place, over the bank on your place. If they ain't nowhere to put it, they'll put it somewhere.
That's my concern.
And as far as maintaining these people watching these places, if they ain't watching them, it's worth nothing. And what you figure up $1 million, well, how much trash you gonna get from Tennessee in a year if you didn't do nothing? Let the police go by.
That's what I'm saying, man. If we reduce the hours, I mean.
You better leave them open, or you
Yeah.
reduce it over the bank.
Well, I know, but, you know, look how long they're open. When they open, seven to 8? 13 hours a day? That's over half the day.
I think we can all agree, though, I mean, I talk to Johnny B up there quite regularly. I'm over there about every evening, I kinda go over there and check on things too, but I know, just my experience getting over there early, sometimes, just going over there before he gets there, just to, and I'm saying early, there's already people that's already throwing, they're throwing the trash. And a lot of them, I have to say, I guess it's out of respect for Johnny B, they go ahead and try to pitch it over the fence rather than make him have to carry it all the way through the fence. But still yet, I mean, I think.
Don't sit down, Wayne. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead and say what I'm sorry
I'm
too.
just done. I mean, I just wondered, if you was figuring on costing $1 million to watch them, what would it, if you didn't watch them at all, what would extra trash cost?
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy I bought a truck or two, and you could buy a new trash truck with that, and you wouldn't have nobody watching. Or you want an employee to haul it, haul it off.
Does the Saturday closing, mean anything for you, for your business, if the transfer station's closed on Saturday?
I've got to haul it whenever it comes. That was my ad. But if it does create a problem down the road, we'll have to talk about that then. But it ain't creating no problem now, but.
Bristol's not open on Saturday. He can't haul it out on Saturday.
So are you even there on
We
Saturday?
can't haul it out on Saturday, but
He can
this
load.
last Monday, we had one load ready to go. That creates a problem, because there's more on Monday.
Why
And I
was
ain't
there-
said anything, but I'm taking notes.
Why was there only one load that you got out on Monday?
We didn't get enough in on Friday to load them. And we always finish up loading them on Saturday.
So are you saying that you didn't get any Saturday either?
We ain't open on Saturday, some Saturdays. Now, one Saturday a month's all they open on.
Transfer station's still open, since they were.
No, you ain't hauling but one Saturday a month, though, right?
We hauled last week when we hauled.
How did that save any money? How does that save any money?
We're not backtracking, we're not, if the truck can get what is out there on Friday and get what's out there on, Monday, and the dumpsters are not running over, then we're not running to get, like on Saturdays, for instance. If we're running up to, we run 2 runs on Saturdays, so we're going to, usually we go to Olinger, Dryden, 606, Ben Hur, and
mess on Monday. If we let that go on Saturday, don't that make that mess worse?
No, these pictures were way before, but we added more cans there, so it's actually accommodating some of the extra traffic.
So how long,
We're trying to eliminate some of the miles and wire and stuff on the trucks, and
how long have we not been, I guess, making as many runs on Saturday?
since the first year.
So is that something that we all should have been in discussion, or is that something that maybe just all in-house?
We were doing it basically on an experimental basis to see what it would do. Because it typically slows down through the winter months anyway. We don't receive near as much waste through the winter months as we do once we reach spring and then through the summer.
Did your people have to work any more on Monday to catch up?
Mondays are always been a problem, but we take care of it. We've never left no trash out.
Just a few times on the holidays, and basically that's been this last little bit, because Bristol closed for the first time in the 11 years.
There's nowhere to take it, you can't blame me.
No, and I wasn't doing that. I'm just saying that for the first time, Bristol closed on Thanksgiving and the day after, which never had done that before. They'd always closed on just Thanksgiving. And then Christmas, they closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So the only thing, when we all talked about this though, closing on Sundays would actually, it's kind of like closing on some of the holidays when it spreads the trash out throughout the week, because it's not so overwhelming on the Monday.
I'd say if you don't call the sheriff and have him set at each one of them convenience centers, it'll take 2 extra men to pick it up to the gate. See if I'm right.
Sunday's a tough time, that's for sure, but, yeah.
But I'm done.
Appreciate it. Apparently, we still got a lot of work to do on, trying to answer some of these, recommendations. I believe we still got some more. I think we need to spend a little bit more time, as a group on discussing it.
There's not an easy solution.
No, that's a fact, there's not. But,
You know, if you do anything, it's gonna be changed. I know a lot of people hate change, but, you know, the world changes every day.
and there may be some locations maybe throughout the county that might be, might be a better fit for maybe closing on Sunday. There might be some of these places that,
Maybe
the people are not gonna, no, not in my district. They ain't no way I'm gonna close one in my district. I mean, I can just tell you that right now, cause I
Some of them are more problematic than others, you know. And that's kind of what we need to, look at, think about, I know Ben Hur, there's not much junk thrown out in Ben Hur, tires and such as that. And I'm not sure about Woodway, but some of them are not as bad as others. You got certain ones that certain people go to, and they throw everything in the world out, because they know they can get by with it.
And you're right, those might be some of the locations to look at to maybe to start on, as far as do a kind of
Enforcement type thing.
Yeah, but now, I'm so secluded back here where we're at, I just think it,
Mr. Chairman, did the recycling committee or the solid waste committee have a recommendation on what to do with the employee who has a recycling position? Would he just be terminated? Is there
No, we didn't even get into that.
No, I don't think they were just, it was kinda in just discussion. I think y'all just kinda looking to how everything fell with, everything else that we really couldn't discuss tonight, but if there's no more reports and recommendations from the board.
I have a question now, just listening to the discussion over the last 15 or 20 minutes. I'm sort of inclined to instruct Mr. Collinsworth to suspend work on the 606 site. If we're looking at leaving sites open, that's a roadside site up there, but there's gonna be some expense involved in developing that site. The only thing he's done at this point is clear the brush off of it. We haven't actually started grading or bedding it with gravel. We've got to build a new entrance, which will involve adding some drain tile, through the
But we're
ditch
not
up
buying
there.
any property.
No, but we'll be spending money on all this material plus a fence.
I think you could
But
move
I
forward
think,
with that one.
So
I'll
I'm
get that.
just asking for guidance from the board based on some of the
Well,
comments
That's my
I've
opinion,
heard.
go forward.
Well, you know, I think we went,
Oh, no, but I'm just, not your comments. I'm listening to their comments.
They all need to be fenced. If you ain't got enough money to fence it, close it.
but I'm just saying based on, you know, like I say, even that site right there that you're talking about, you know, there's a lot of people's gonna have to drive, and they're gonna have to drive more than 7 miles to get to that location. If you're up in, say, the, Sigma area, up in that area. Cause it's about the same either way. You're
That's
gonna
what I say,
drive
they'd probably be
7 you're
closer
gonna
to go
drive
on
about
to
7
Keokee.
miles to Keokee, you're gonna drive about 8 miles down there to that side. So,
It's about half a mile away.
but what I'm saying
On
is,
the
that,
best
you know,
part of the road.
Well,
as far as expenditures, I mean, I don't exactly know where you were coming with that question, exactly what you were meaning by that, because we went up there to a site we hadn't even purchased yet and start spending money on, so here a site that we've been working on, or you guys have been working on it long before I even come on the board to get the land for free.
a long time.
and-
But I just wanna make sure before we continue, because I'm hearing,
That 606 has gotta go.
hearing a lot of
I
different
don't think
comments,
that
so.
one was a question, but I mean, when we're having to spend a whole lot of it, but what I was getting at on the fact that, you know, you said there was expansion available there at the Dryden area.
Yes.
You know, which would be a substantial savings, you know, compared to buying property along with, you know, then having to do all that with it too. I mean, at not a whole lot, much more burden on the people to drive than there is anywhere else in the county. But that was just an opinion, it wasn't a.
Well, I think I've got my answer, so we'll continue to move forward.
With that being,
If you'll bear with Mr. Taylor, Shannon, my neighbor, he works directly with VDOT. I think that he can be beneficial if we just let him be more prepared when he comes next time. If there's another site.
yeah.
Well, you know, if there is another location that's satisfactory with the community, I would, you know, be all for doing that. But, you know, like I said, I've been sitting here 13 years, we've been trying to find a place to
Well,
put it.
versus buying it, if he can get VDOT right away,
Yeah.
then we work with him where he works with VDOT.
Well, we checked on a place up there with VDOT, did you know?
Has that site been purchased already?
No.
But
Is there work being done on it?
The only thing we did, is go up and use the brush cutter to clear the brush so we could actually see how the ground lay.
Is there anything that's gonna be done before the next meeting?
No, we're not moving on that side any at all right now.
But I know just from what time I've been on the board, I know just from hearing these guys, Dane and Larry and Charles, they've been working on trying to find a site for a long time, I do know that. But enough trash talk, I just about to say, time to dismiss, we're,
Motion to adjourn.
I have a note from the regular meeting, about a potential recess meeting on February 10th, but I don't have anything with that note other than the date as to why we were meeting that night. But I put it in my phone.
We were gonna start doing workshops.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Well,
That's on
that'd be a good
February
opportunity
10th.
to discuss what we discussed.
yeah, that's right.
tonight.
February 10th, got a motion to recess to February the 10th?
Yes.
What time? February 10th?
Whatever.
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
I had it marked for 6.
Okay, 6.
Did you cover the budget thing in your part? I got the joint meeting, I heard that, but I didn't hear the budget.
It was in budget committee, appointing a budget
What did
committee.
I get on? I thought I.
Budget committee.
Budget committee, school board budget committee.
Okay, got it.
But they've not said it exactly.
Okay, we
He
got a
asked
motion.
about potentially meeting next week, what days would work best for you and what time. So you said any day but the 4th,
Right.
and you all were saying 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
Not me, I'm not on it.
Yeah, 5 or 6 in
Whatever
the
time they
evening.
wanna be.
Okay.
I'm not
It's
gonna tell
whatever's
them what time.
convenient. Okay, we got a motion to recess, until February 10th at 6 PM for a workshop.
Second.
Got a second on that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Here we go.
Thank y'all for coming out, folks.
Appreciate you all.